will control the vertical.
Welcome to Anthologic, the TV anthology podcast. I am your host, Mark. Anthologic is a podcast dedicated to exploring the good, the bad, and the odd of horror, science fiction, and the best of mystery suspense anthology shows and series on TV. Join me as we slip through the cracks of reality to approach the extremes of experience, where we can peruse the stories and art of a sinister fairground of strange and wonderful rides. And now we go on to the show that is the focus of this particular episode. Welcome to this episode of Anthologic with your host Mark. Today I'm talking about an anthology, a sort of crime thriller anthology series from Britain, which originally screened in 1978. It was produced by Anglian TV and transmitted across the entire TV network of the UK. However, it only lasted for one season of 6 episodes. The premise was a twist in the tale kind of thing. It's something we're quite familiar with. And it preceded probably a much more famous cousin in this respect, which was Tales of the Unexpected. It came out a year before Tales of the Unexpected. Now, the first episode, which is the one I'm going to be talking about, was a fairly serious, intense sort of police drama. With some big names. The central performances were by Trevor Howard, who's, getting on a bit at this time. But also it stars quite famous people in British TV. Anyway, Patrick Allen and Don Henderson, for example. And it's a police procedural with a kind of twist at the end. And as the entire premise of this is, there's always going to be a twist at the end. Hence the name Scorpion Tales. It was trying to step in the same ground as the British thriller, but it wasn't very successful. And a little while after it, Armchair Thriller, which I have talked about recently, sort of came out. Very similar time, was more successful. And then, of course, Tales of the Unexpected. So this only lasted for one season. It was kind of eclipsed by similar but other shows. And I don't want to say better, because I thought this production was pretty good. Easterman first aired on the 29th of April 1978, and there were six shows in all, and the last one airing on the 12th of August 1978. So they were kind of spread out. Well, I say that. The first 5 were weekly, but the last one, there was a jump between the 27th of May and to the 12th of August. It's like the last one was being kicked around really, and they just decided to air it. It's kind of the feel of it. However, this is a solid show. It was a pretty good one. The intro titles are kind of cool. They're kind of exciting. A rock guitar and fast, pacey. Images of scorpions, images of flames, dancing flames, stuff like that. Kind of a similar thing to Tales of the Unexpected in some respects. Music wasn't as memorable, but it was kind of interesting. It was produced by David Reed, who also oversaw Hammer House of Horror, the anthology series Hammer House of Horror, and another non-anthology series, which was kind of a mystery series, sci-fi fantasy series called Sapphire and Steel with David McCallum and Joanna Lumley. He oversaw those. He also directed 3 of the stories. And he included the one we're talking about. So I'd say this is quite effective. Basically, the story is, and this was about a 50-minute story, so it's meant to air for 1 hour on a commercial channel. And one of the things that flabbergasted me was how much some of the stuff's changed. The first ad break isn't until over half an hour into the show. There's only one ad break as well. Which flabbergasted me, because I think we get ad breaks every 12 minutes now. So the 70s, much less handbrakes, it feels like, which is nice, right? You can settle into it without it being too disruptive. Basically, Trevor Howard it starts with him being pulled over for drink driving, or in the station about drink driving, and ranting on because he's a detective. He shouldn't have got into this situation. He should have basically talked to his superiors before he got breathalyzed, even, or blood's taken. But it's a few minutes of him ranting on about the state of things, and the whole episode is actually Trevor Howard ranting on about the state of things. It's quite a tour de force. He just gives a good performance here. It's quite effective. In the way he speaks, he reminds me of Charles Gray, who would have also done quite well in something like this. He's got a similar speaking voice in it. Now, Trevor Howard's usually a little more distinctive voice, but he really did sound quite a lot like Charles Gray in this. And I quite liked it. It's him, going through the procedurals. He realises someone's after him, potentially, and sort of claims that he killed her is his terms. And there's various twists and turns around this. Also, this show is of its time, so some of the language would just not be acceptable or be aired now. But it's late 70s. There's quite a lot of derogatory terms about homosexuals throughout, and that's kind of part of the plot as well. So you've got to bear that in mind when watching this. I enjoyed this greatly. Trevor Howard's performance and the script was fairly solid. It does look like the entire series is available on YouTube, so you can watch this one. And this first episode is called Easterman. Easterman being the name of the person that's supposedly after him. And there's some diatribes. We find out, for example, he's at the end of he's getting very near to pensionable. He's only got months of work left rather than years. The police chief who kind of bails him out of the drinking thing sort of talks about how many detectives kind of seem to burn away in their last few months, like they don't care about their pension anymore, and he's seen it time and time again. And Maver is going through that, so there's that going on. We found out he's divorced. He does go and warn his wife, but there's still there's obviously problems between them. She does not really even want to talk to him, but he sort of cares enough to come and warn her. Keep your bed, keep all the doors locked, keep the phone by your bed, and stuff like that. He also has a bit of a rant at a doctor and asks him to give him a prescription for sleeping pills and all sorts of pills to help him function. So this is a troubled man. In some ways, it reminds me a little of a film with Sean Connery playing a similar role called The Offence. That takes it even further than what we see here, but there's always this threat of death. But Maver does not seem that bothered, really. He's such an old hand, and we do also learn about what an old hand is. He knows exactly what he's doing. He fires out instructions to sort of junior policemen about what to do on a certain crime scene. He knows his stuff. And at one point he does have a rant against someone who cleans the body without taking a swab of the gunshot wound, so they don't know how far away the gunshot happened because of that. It's kind of that. It's almost like they got a policeman in who really knows his stuff, who contributed significantly towards the script because it feels quite authentic and sort of realistic. The points being made, they are contracted into one long rant, fair enough, but the sort of subject matter does not feel false. In that sense, I've got no idea if it's false or not, of course, but it feels that way. It feels true to me. So yeah. So I'd say this is a recommend. Scorpion Tales, kind of an interesting one. I did purchase on the DVD, so it has been, or it's maybe still is, purchasable as a small box set. It's only 6 episodes. It comes on 2 DVDs. And it's videotape. It's not, bits of it are filmed, but mostly it's videotape. So you've got to bear that in mind while you're watching. Yeah, so Scorpion Tales is pretty good. I will stop there. But before I go, may I ask, is anybody out there?
I'm not.
We now return control of your television set to you until next week at this same time, when the control voice will take you to